to make that move sorted. You got 4 wide in the back. Look at this.
That's not going to work.
You got Jeros, you got McGrauther, you've got everyone there copping it in, and they will funnel themselves out. That is what Watkins Glen's all about. 4 wide heading into the carousel.
Styles seems to think so. He looks to the inside, coming down into Brooklyn's. He's got the apex, but he doesn't have the right-hander into Luffield. This is going to be tough to complete it. A nose starts to pull ahead, and does the Lamborghini have enough grunt beneath it? It's hard to say yet. Now through Woodcote, this carries on, DJ.
It carries on, and they're going to go side by side into cops. Here they come, waiting to see who's going to make it work. It is the Porsche that's able to pull it out. A great move, but here comes the fight back. This isn't done yet for the Demon Tweaks car. They're going to try to go around the outside here of Maggots.
And Jack Styles sends it in deep, and that is going to get him into third.
Tries to set him up here down the straightaway into Tarzan.
Look at the immediate defense, but now he's a little weavy there, and he's going to have to give him the outside way deep into the corner. Lotfula somehow makes it. He wasn't quite on the apex, but that's the pass done for the 22.
It's looking very good. Simo's going to try to tuck up behind in the draft. He's going to have to really send it here down into the Firestone turn, and send it he does down to the inside. But that's going to be a little bit of a fight back there from Pablo, but Pablo has to give up the ghost.
Nobody able to make the overtake until now, as Mickey goes wide, forces himself to have to cover off the inside once again. Andy Fox trying the long way around, which is going to switch back to the inside. First change of the lead in some time as they elbow each other out of the way. And Andy Fox is your new leader. It's going to be 2 positions down. Oh no, they tangle. Mats Anderson coming together. Another little hello from Mickey. He did not like that.
It's a new season, and with new seasons come new challenges, new opportunities, and a clean slate. This is where racing begins, at a track built as one of the hearts of close American road racing. It's Road Atlanta, and it's live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi there everyone, I'm Jake Sperry, taking you through the action today with Adam Lindgren alongside me for the ride. Joe Peak is on the cameras today, and he's using those said cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Now, technical openings, a vintage overtaking spot at turns 10A and 10B, and so much more awaits today's drivers. So, where better to go than our GSRC track guide?
Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track.
Well, that's just a small look of what makes this circuit absolutely fantastic to go around and challenge. Braselton, Georgia's fantastic, Adam, and an understanding of this place is something that on paper looks easy to master, takes years.
Absolutely. Road Atlanta has historically been one of the most chaotic tracks on the Kamel calendar, so of course, this is where we start the 2022 Season 2 for Kamel GT. The Nissans will find themselves quite at home around here, only fearing the high curbs of the S's, the bumpy exit of 5, and the tight left-right of 10. Alone on track, this would be a fairly straightforward affair for the GTPs, but they're not alone. The GTOs are hanging on for dear life to the first sector, with turn 1 being a beast for the usually understeery Audi, and the S's and the exit of 5 a real challenge to keep the car on track. The rest of the lap is fairly comfortable, with the long straight giving plenty of opportunities to pass if you get a good exit off of turn 7. But multi-class here, well, let's say patience isn't usually in abundance at the beginning of the season, and the S's are a recipe for disaster. Many a collision has been had with the Nissans trying to take the outside of turn 4 down the hill, with the Audis focused full forward through that sector. The best places to make a pass are obviously the back straight and into turn 1, but turn 6 can offer up a move if someone else makes a mistake. It's been a while since we had you on, Jake, and I hope you're prepared for the Kamel Chaos today, especially with the large field.
Absolutely. 52 drivers here today, and this is going to be a very congested battleground. The field did not split. So let's take a look then from what was championship right now to what was championship last season. Let's start with the GTPs, the prototypes. It was a mightily close championship. It went down to the wire and was won by just a single point. It was Antti Lepisto who managed to pick up the control of that one, winning with 197 points over Arto Ihamaki in second position, 196. Laust Olsen, 30 points back, picked up third position with just the one win to his name, and then very good finishes for both Aitor Sintes Galindo in fourth and Fabian Jungbluth rounding out then the top fives. And well, Adam, for you, GTOs proved to be just as competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Jukka Leskala took home the win over Escalante by quite a bit. 77 points. He had cinched that by the second to last round of the season. Then Mark Ole, 32 points back of Escalante, so quite a bit back of there as well. Vili Rolla joined the season about halfway through and was able to make it up to P4 in the standings. Be interesting to see what he would be able to do had he challenged Jukka Leskala for the entire season. Phil Lake was on and off in the GTP and the GTO, so only good enough for fifth for him, but consistent second places means that he has a good shot at challenging Jukka Leskala if he decides to take the full season this season, Jake.
Absolutely, and we are seeing just how crucial a good start to the season is indicative of whether you take the full season or not. Official iRacing servers for the Kamel GT series in terms of the Kamel Championship, best 10 of 12 for them will sort themselves out. So get yourself a good start as the first GTP times coming in on the board. But before that here, Adam, let's take us through some race details. How are we going to be dealing with this race today?
Absolutely. It's the first race of 12 today. It's a 40-minute race. That's the usual Kamel GT schedule for these drivers. They've got open setup, so they can set up the car however they like or dislike, depending on their preference. They have no spare vehicle to use today, so they're going to have to hang on to what they got. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, which you can get around here at Road Atlanta, and disqualification at 25. Usually we don't see that, but with 52 cars out on track today, Jake, oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. And it's not just a big oh boy. We've got all sorts of drivers then. Drivers with really high I ratings, drivers with really low I ratings out there, and drivers looking to try and put their best times in on the boards, and even some iRacing staff today out there racing. Car number 26, Nim Cross Jr. is out there just finishing his second lap as well as he puts it over the line for a 108.1. That's good enough for 8th fastest at this point in time. So a pretty solid start to his qualifying, just beaten by Paulo Costa. There you can see the big number 1 of Yuko Leskala, who was perfect through the championship, 10 wins out of 12. And of course, when best 10 of 12 results count, Adam, that means that's a perfect season.
Absolutely, a perfect season for Yuko Leskala last season, but under tighter challenge from Phil Lake this season. Right now, only 15 1,000 separating the two of them, but Yuko's second laps tend to be pretty strong. So let's see what he's going to do here as he comes out of the final set of corners.
Absolutely, under the Fox Factory Bridge and down the hill, charging towards the line. We'll see what Leskala can do. He's currently the fastest driver out there on a 19.5, and by golly, has he gone even quicker. He's half a second clear of the rest of the GTO field, a 19.189, and there is a reason why he is magic when he gets behind the wheel of these machines. John Keefe, currently 13th fastest at this point. That's an improvement up to 9th with a 107.862. So it really does show you that pace is there. And of course, Martin Krajcik out there had a little bit of issues a week ago when it came to the Kamel GT 500 at Road America. He'll be looking to try and put that behind him with Road Atlanta and a good solid start to the season.
Absolutely. These GTPs and GTOs both take a full lap to get their tires up to temperature, so they're going to be really careful going down the S's on the first lap. Krajcik now coming down through turns 10A and B. A fantastic drive. Let's see whether or not he can set a good time. Looks like Ove Trangrade also might be on a quick lap as well as Krajcik comes out of the final corner.
Krajcik then will drive for the line and will do himself a 107.235, so no improvement there for him. Goes 5th fastest, but there is Trengarade down in 44th position at this point, the number 8. He's really down there struggling because he hasn't put a representative time. His first lap was a 25.7. That's about 3 seconds off the pace of Rolly Wallbank, who is his next big challenger that he's trying to get to, with a handful of drivers not putting a time in on the board. And when qualifying does bring itself to a close, I'll be bringing ourselves through the GTPs, and we'll have Adam here on the GTOs. But Trengarade making that drive in that really cool classic livery on the run here. Reminds me of the BMWs. That is a 19.664, and that is good enough for 3rd fastest. You're damn right.
That is a fast time for Trangrade. What a great second lap for him. So called off the first one. Reed Miller crossing the line at 19.952, but unfortunately that lap doesn't count for Reed Miller, so he's going to have to stay back there.
Yeah, that's a shame for him. So he stays back then, 6th, 7th in class. A handful of drivers out there, but none on a representative flying lap. So by this point onwards, nobody can improve. So we can run ourselves then down and see where we go. But before we do that, we have to give a massive, massive shout out to our main sponsor for the course of the season here today, which is the Majors Garage. Make sure that you check them out. They are the home of free Baseline Plus setups, and you can get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code MajorsGSRC, you can get 10% off of what you need to. So check out the Majors Garage over the course of action today. But let us get ourselves pretty much forward then with how things look, because it is a very, very stacked field today in terms of drivers. And well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. We didn't really talk about how strong the lap times were in the GTPs, but it's Hugh Haycox who gets himself on the pole position with Alexis Tapiavico alongside him on the front row. Laust Olsen will go 3rd with Timothy Vaughan in 4th position. Martin Krajcik and Aitor Sintes Galindo make up row number 3. Javier Mosquera and Pablo Suarez then are 7th and 8th, with Fabian Youngbluth in 9th and John Keith rounding out then the top 10. Following on from that, on towards row 6, you've got Paulo Costa and Brian Axman, with Nim Cross Jr., the iRacing staff, in 13th. Lucky for some, Andrew Medell in 14th position. Mike Ruda and Diego Mistretta are 15th and 16th. Jorge Zuniga, Doug Cloud, Nathan Cameron, and Emerson Godin make up the top 20. The last 4 then will be Cam Porter, Grant Bristow, Gabriel Salza, and Max Bacon, which leaves Adam with GTOs.
Absolutely. Yuko Leskala on the pole for the GTOs with Phil Lake in second position. Ove Trangarade going to start off in third with Nick Makanos in fourth spot. Fifth is going to be Alex Millward with Reed Miller lining up at sixth position with Hideki Koivisto starting off in seventh. A good qualifying for Hideki today with Ben Laughter in eighth position. Javier Del Olmo lining up in the ninth spot with Franco Scurry in 10th. Then we got Marius Brewer in 11th position with Jamie Hamill-Smith 12th. Ian Haycox lining up 13th with Robin Happage 14th. 15th is Andreas Schuster. Then we got John Olson, Gianluca Gabbiani, Oren Laskin, Robert Prumley, and Rowley Wallbank rounding out your top 20 with Fabio Saul, Pablo Rangel, Andre Schumacher 23rd, Jacob Greer 24th, and 25th being Gowan Wynn, and that's 51 cars today, Jake.
Absolutely is. Just did forget those 3 drivers who didn't set a time in the GTPs: Carlos Fonseca, Jason Clapper, and Michael Clapper. So the 2 Clappers, assumingly brothers, have a little bit of work to do from the back of the field to move forward. But the good news is today that they'll be running a pace lap before they get going. They'll be behind the iRacing Porsche first safety car, and they will be looking for a really good opportunity today to go out to race at the best of their abilities. But one thing that we have seen in terms of times, as we get a little bit of a look at car number 6, get the virtual reality out there for Alex Millward here as we get ourselves into position. Drivers are going to get themselves ready and waiting, and you can see here just how strong everyone is going to hope to be over the course of the racing action that we have today. And just a little look then just in front of that, you can see there back to the 21 and just how strong of a driving challenge that people are going to be having today. That one pace lap is going to be key, as well as the difference, Adam, in terms of their times. There isn't much really. Fastest time to fastest time, 13 seconds a lap. That doesn't sound like much around here.
Yeah, absolutely. That 21 was Ian Haycox driving with his modified setup for to adjust for the fact that he does not have his throttle leg anymore. Laust Olsen now driving the number 10 machine, currently lining up in third in the GTPs, and absolutely that first lap is going to be important. But the most important thing with a field this size, just survive the S's, get through there, then possibly make a move, off of 7 down the back straight towards turn 10. But honestly, just survive the first lap and then start to set up what your race is going to look like. You can't win the race on lap 1, but you can absolutely lose it.
Knock on wood, hopefully it all manages to make itself work finally. But you see how congested this track is, especially in the early stages. It's once you get to this middle part of the track, Adam, where you really get your first chance to breathe through these 2 90-degree right-handers and onto that long kilometer-long straight that gives the overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, just about 2.5 lanes realistically on this track. You can make it 3 wide, but it's very tight. And we might see some of the GTPs trying to do that at times, but you can see this long straight. It is not flat. It's quite bumpy and quite a little twisty as well. Makes it a challenging place to make a pass because most people stick to that right-hand side and force people to go around the outside of the corner. But then you come down to the downhill braking zone into turns 10 and A and B. There you can see it does this twist to the right, and then you start to get the 300-meter board. Most of these drivers will be braking at 150 or later. In the GTPs, they can usually brake about 75 and make it in time to reach this corner. But it's such a challenge for these drivers, especially in the first lap with cold tires. But the pace car's got to be in pretty quick here, Jake.
It certainly is, and drivers are going to have to rush up to the back then of Hugh Haycox, who has stayed pretty resolute to the back then. Pace car dives in, put 40 minutes on the clock. Green flag in the air and a great jump by Hugh Haycox. He's away and Tapia Vico slow to it. Laust Olsen then will immediately move down the inside as they charge into the very fast turn number 1 to get themselves underway. A nice get-go with single file starting to fall in as GTOs look to get themselves ready.
Absolutely, the GTO's fairly single file at this point with Yuko Leskala over Phil Lake. Nick Bacano's been a good move on Ove Trangarade to take away that 3rd position. Alex Millward now battling with Reed Miller back there for 5th spot. Reed Miller's going to have to fall behind him. Then it's single file all the way back towards Hideki Koivisto and Franco Scurry, who were side by side through turn 1, but they've all sorted themselves out as they hit the S's.
Absolutely, and some great battling there too wide as they funnel through the S's section. Nice and clean start, exactly what we love to see here with the Global Sim Racing channel as everyone funnels in. A bit of too wide then in your GTP as Brian Axman looks to try and fight with John Keeper position. There is Lars Olsen chasing in second position as he will dive down into 10A and 10B for the first time. Little look there in the background then, that was Fabian Jungbluth trying to work out a way through. He couldn't manage it yet, but look how quickly a lap here today is scored in the books. They're already through, and that mock-up Minolta trying to work through a bit of side-by-side in front there for a second.
Absolutely, and in the GTO, Soviet Trangrade is absolutely falling down the field. He's lost a position to Nick McConnell's Alex Millward, and all about to lose a position to Reed Miller, but Reed actually gets covered off by Over Trangrade, has to back off a tiny bit there. So Ben Laughter looking on at these guys. Looks like Doug Cloud has had an issue in the GTPs. He's quite slow, as is Mike Reuter and Nim Cross Jr.
Oh, and Nim off as well, so drivers all in trouble, and that was Nim trying to get out of the way in the grass, getting tagged from behind then over the course of that incident. So Nim Cross trying to be aggressive, but someone behind grabbing the grass, and it was Mike Ruder there making contact. Not ideal in the slightest. So this is just an emphasis here on replay. You see car already going off there at turn number 1. Not quite sure who that was, but you can see already trying to look for the line, and that's just effectively painting yourself into a corner, Adam.
Yeah, I believe that was John Keefe who's slow going through there, and so Nimcross Jr. backed off to try and let him through in turn 2, but then got hit from behind. That's what sent him around. Fortunately, it doesn't look like much damage for those drivers. They should be able to keep going relatively cleanly.
They absolutely should. Hugh Haycox then, fastest lap of the race, 107.865, and already catching up a slow Goan win out there, who is already going to be put a lap down and is absolutely desperately going out of the way. Now, one of the advantages you could say here, Adam, about iRacing here is that this is a slightly older scan than it is of the current layout, which means that drivers can use effectively the club layout to stay out of the way of different drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've seen that a couple times. Just had a pass for fourth position, Alex Millward in the GTO. He's a very quick driver of the GTP. We've seen that over and over again. There you see him right there. And Millward moving over to the GTO for this season, and my goodness, the man seems to have pace. He's now moved himself past Nick McConnell and is closing in on Leskala and Lake, having him at the front of the field. We've seen him a couple times in the GTOs over the last couple seasons, but Max Bacon's had a problem in the GTPs.
Yep, so GTP's more troubles. Oh, that's a big spin as well. That's coming out then of 7. Nice little flick spin. Get it going. Max Bacon. I think there needs to be a little bit more balance on that plate, Adam. I don't know about you, but that car not pointing in the right direction for a moment.
Not at all, just a self-spin for him, unfortunately. Here we go back to the lead of the GTOs, and check this out. This is on board with Phil Lake with the Pimax machine. Phil, I mean, I'm envious of your setup, man. I wish I had a Pimax, but driving right now tucked in behind Yuko Leskala, and he's got a good run. Here he goes for the lead.
He certainly does. He'll move to the left-hand side of the circuit. It will give him the inside into 10A and 10B, but Leskala is as tricky as a character comes, and he holds that line nicely. Lake trying to really get power off the exit, go up and under, down the hill, through the final corners 11 and 12, and because he does that, he'll have the inside for 1 as well. Leaves just enough room then on that outside line for Leskala, who knows even if he gets the outside working here at 1, he'll be on the outside for 3 as well. Incredible battling between these two, up the hill, through the small left of 2, into 3, and contact between the leaders. Leskala gets turned.
Leskala turned in a little early, and Phil Lake couldn't cross over the bumps quite as effectively, so he was a little bit wide, almost looked a little bit like Silverstone last year between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton.
It is just as simple as that for contact. You cannot write how difficult it is to battle too wide. We'll catch it on the Global Sim Racing channel replay. You can see they fought hard for 3-4 corners, and on the brakes you go into this section. Oh, there's not really much room that you could give either way. It's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, I mean, Phil probably could have run over those curves a little harder, but I don't think he expected Yuko to turn in that sharply toward the corner. I think he expected Yuko to brake a little earlier, so Yuko on a recovery drive now, down in 11th position, now in 10th, trying to pass Franco Scurry.
And now they've got to be careful because this is when the traffic is starting to form up here, ladies and gentlemen. That was just the leader going through that battle, Hugh Haycox, who's now got to be really cautious on a heavy field like today where it is very easy to get tangled up. That's Aitor Sintes Galindo there, diving down the inside of Martin Krejcik, moving up into 4th position. And with Timothy Vaughan on the back of this group, this is going to be a very, very important, tough battle. Look at how they're going to have to weave here down this straight. This is so congested, Aitor! What is that down the inside? Brilliantly done. And now there's trouble. Krejcik makes a tap there with Oren Laskin.
Oh my goodness, that's so tight as they go past Gianluca Gabbiani and Oren Laskin. It's so tight for them as they try and make it through this field. Look how much danger there is going through the S's. Now they get out of the S's.
Laskin and Mosquera both coming together on the run up to 5, and they both find themselves in a spin and in trouble. So drama up the hill. They can see Mosquera's pink machine, and that is just what happens from time to time. We thought it would happen with a field of 52, and it has happened.
You cannot make a pass through 4, through the S's. There's no possible way around there. We're going to see it here. This is just a closing door every single time. There's no way you're going to get around there. The Audi has to come over to the apex.
Certainly does, and you just have to be alert to every little bit of magic out there on circuit, and it's going to be a really tough battle. And there's a spinner, and that is car number 41 in trouble. So Nathan Cameron going around. So he again in trouble, and you can see the damage to the back, and he's you can see there just in the back, that was one of the GTOs as well, who's there. And look at this battle going on for about 5th place at the moment. This is really stacking up the field.
Yeah, there is Aitor Sintes Galindo and Martin Krejcik as they try and tuck their way through this. Krejcik all over the curbs there as we continue to watch the battle between Marius Brewer and Ben Laughter. Krejcik trying to take the inside away from Reed Miller behind them, and he's going to try the move through 4. He finally makes it work, looking out the back of Brewer at this point as he's trying to hang on to that 5th position. The traffic, absolute chaos today. Oh, that was sketch.
That was, and the brakes had to be absolutely grinded on as they went through. Here comes Krejcik down the inside, trying to find the move on Aitor Sintes Galindo. Can't quite find it, but now you're starting to see how the battles form up, because you've got Tapia Vico fighting with Vaughan just behind this. Look at them, nose to tail. This is a swarm, this is a conglomeration of drivers, and it's always going to be about finding space on a very, very small circuit to get your moves done. They all nicely form single file there through the first expanse as they went through, which is the good news. The bad news is they'll have to do it many more times over here, Adam.
And it's only going to get more intense every single time. Look at this, Tapia Vico taking a look to the inside of Vaughan. They all stack up into one, and there's contact. Nose to tail, Martin Krejcik and Alexis Tapia Vico. Vico with some front end damage, but everyone still manages to keep going straight.
And a freebie for Fabian Youngbluth because of that as they funnel their way past Trengarade, and now they'll try and get past the next one, Nicholas Mukanos. And Mukanos here very wise, and this is what the iRacing system's all about with lap traffic. Blue flags are not mandatory in this series, they are advisory, and because of that, you can dictate the pace as the GTO to safely get overtaken.
Tapia Vico with no straight line speed anymore. That front end damage really affecting him, so he's going to be falling back throughout the field. But now this has turned into a 3-way fight between Aitor Sintes Galindo, Timothy Vaughan, and Martin Krejcik.
Oh my! And somehow threading 3 wide was said Alexis Tapia Vico. He had to get through with Mukanos, but he had Pablo El Suarez he was fighting with as well. They're still swarming down onto the brakes here as they look to try and sort themselves out with now the leading battle of GTOs, Lake versus Millward out there on circuit. Vaughan and Krejcik and co are all there, and it's a 4-car line. John Keefe has got himself back into position now as well, and it just goes to show how much work you have to do. These drivers who are about 5 seconds off of Hugh Haycox when they started the lapping train, Adam, are now 16 seconds adrift plus.
And if we could focus on the leaders of the GTOs right now, let's take a look at how this traffic affects them, because this absolutely breaks up every battle that we see in the GTOs. There is Yuko Leskala and Phil Lake tucked in behind. Phil trying to hold on to Leskala, but getting absolutely mobbed by GTPs.
Hang on a minute, that's Millward and Lake. Remember, Leskala going around earlier on in the race. He's trying to recover back on through. But there is Phil Lake in charge, in the lead of this category right now, and he's having a bit of a moment there, coming on the brakes, side by side with the slower Alexei Tapiavico, and then straight down the inside goes Pablo Costa, and this is the struggle that you get with GTO. You couldn't quite see it from this angle, but he had to check up a little bit there, did Philip Lake, because GTP goes through, but GTP doesn't go good off acceleration.
Yeah, no, it's very much slower than the four-wheel drive Audi GTO with their dual turbo that really gets off the line quite well. Built for rally, these cars, and transferred over to the street circuit quite effectively by the Audi racing team. And now, just such a fantastically horrible car to drive. It's phenomenal, so much fun, but my goodness, is it a challenge. There goes streaking by Diego Mastrella with so much speed, and here comes Jorge Zuniga as well, trying to take away the line from, oh my goodness, that was close.
Woo, we're getting a little bit dicey, ladies and gentlemen, and we are certainly seeing it out on track. That is what we call as close as it comes for the GTO leader, who lets through Mosquera down the hill and now just gets that ability to breathe ever so slightly, go out and race on their own accord. So that just about sorts itself out. But here is Yuko Leskala trying to recover through the field. He's now on the back of Ben Laughter at this point in time, who will have something to smile about at this point. But look at this, can't make the move because it's another train going through, and this is the train behind Emerson Godin at this point in time. It's got Nimcross Jr. in it, just moving by, that's Carlos Fonseca making the move, and just behind that, Mike Ruder, who of course made that contact with Nim.
Yeah, and now because Ben Laughter has a little bit of draft from in front, it's going to be harder for Yuko to pass, but Yuko's going to fall in line behind Ruder, and actually that sort of broke his draft to Laughter, but then Laughter falls in behind Ruder as well, so then Yuko's going to switch over to the left-hand side. It's a longer way around and a harder braking zone, but Yuko absolutely stamps on the brakes, nails the apexes.
Absolutely. These Audi Quattros, they are very drift happy, and it's something that I mentioned earlier on with the Lotus 49s. But did you know, Adam, that in order to pass your driving test as a finished driver, you need to know how to do a Scandinavian flick?
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Oh,
Tapiavico,
Alexis Tapiavico.
he's out.
Just like that, it happened so quickly, and Alexi's race, which was going to be damage limitation with the damage to the front, now that is a significantly damaged front of the machine, and his race is done today. So a real shame there for him, but racing action continues. Here is second in your GTPs, Laust Olsen, already 12 seconds adrift at the front of the field. It is crazy to think that at the moment. Moving through turn number one, just in front is lap traffic in the form of Gabriel Salza, but you can see on the face is calm, just getting on with the race. 6 seconds to the car behind. He's done his job. He's got himself a gap. Second position will do the job for him today.
Decent pucker factor for Laust today, and that's not surprising. 11 seconds behind Hugh Haycox implies that Hugh Haycox, Joe and I have talked about it many times, that Hugh Haycox's knowledge of how to cut through the traffic is honestly second to none in the GTPs at this time. And so it's no surprise to see Hugh that far ahead of Laust, and Laust is struggling a little bit with this large field.
Yeah, he certainly is, and this is a massive field by comparison. 52 people could have taken the start, 50 drivers did, and now you can see just moving around here is Laust Olsen trying to get himself through a little bit of traffic. That is Pablo Rangel out there, and you can see here another little battle starting to form itself up, and now you're starting to see Timothy Vaughan and Aitor Sintes Galindo's fight for the podium form. Vaughan hasn't really gone out there and been aggressive so far in the opening 15 minutes here, Adam, but what you can say he has done is he's just stuck in behind and he's waiting to buy his ticket to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's doing his best job to hang on to Sintes Galindo right now, and he's going to try and take his opportunity when it presents itself. And with all this traffic, there's plenty of times where a driver gets held up. Now, coming up behind Pablo Rangel here, this is going to be holding up Galindo a little bit, but it also holds up Vaughn, so Galindo's actually going to get a better exit and have enough run into 6, but I don't think he's going to get caught. His next best shot's going to be in the hard braking down to 7, just like we saw last lap. And man, if these laps go quick, Jake, this is, 1 minute 10 last lap for Hugh Haycox. These laps absolutely fly by.
Blink and you'll miss them laps, I like to call them. So you have a blink. Oh, look, there's 5 laps. They've gone just like that. So you've always got something keep your eyes on as they descend down the hill towards 10A and 10B, the prime place today to get the pass done. Nothing doing just yet as they put a lap on Fabio Sal, and now their charge continues as they look to weave. You can see forward, here's Ian Haycox out there at the moment with that modified rig, trying to work out what best way he is as he deals with recovery after a motorcycle accident meant that he lost his right leg out there overall, but he's really trying to work hard and know what his limits and capabilities are. He said that he can only drive about an hour and a half at a time, otherwise it starts becoming a bit too much with the way he goes. These 40-minute races are perfect for him. Absolutely.
The Kamel GT series, such an accessible series for drivers, so it's awesome to see him jump in this car again. Everyone was so disappointed when we heard what happened to him. We thought we would lose Ian from the series, but it was not 2 weeks before he was back in the car with this modified rig. He's now got a much better modified rig, but he started out with just zip ties and a potentiometer, and now he's in this car driving around quite competitively, actually, is Ian, and I know he'll only get better with time.
You can take the car out, or you can take the racer out of the car, but you can never take the car out of the racer. That is always something that you find. It's always going to be a great battle. I may have butchered that quote, but ultimately, great racing here going on with the battle going on with car number 6, Alex Millward, and your race leader, car number 4, Philip Lake, as they look to battle it out between each other, trying to figure out the best way they can win this one. And all over the curb goes Alex Millward, and that is something we haven't talked about today, being out of line and dealing with a very, very bumpy surface up the hill.
And that's what I said about the GTOs, absolutely just hanging on for dear life through the S's. If you get one of those flicks wrong, you absolutely are going to clobber a curb and have to recover for the rest of the way down the hill. These GTOs are so heavy and so angle sensitive. You have to be really careful. There we see Rowdy Wallback, who was side by side with Phil Lake for a moment, and Doug Cloud trying to sneak his way through. Doug actually had to get on the brakes a little bit there, but unfortunately for Doug, he's back in 24th position, a couple laps below Phil Lake. But let's take a look at Reed Miller. He's in a battle with Ben Laughter right now.
Trying to get this sorted. He'll have to go the long way around. 8 versus 19, and 9 versus 19, and that's Reed Miller around the outside, getting it done at 10-8 and sorting it out with the apex on the inside. Laughter gave him racing room, which was slightly less than 1 car length, but it was more than enough to make that pass happen. And suddenly, Youngbluth and Kraterik, and upside down is Timothy Vaughan.
What on earth happened here?
So he's just grabbed the grass all on his own here. He was chasing down behind Hervé Trengarade, and this is coming through the final section, so you're going to see it right now. Comes down the hill. He'll just grab a little bit of grass on this outside, will spin it down into the inside, and this is the most crazy crash I have seen in a long time. You're going to see here, he hits the first wall, and he flips over the gap in the wall, and just like that, that's how violent a crash can be in Kamel GT.
And don't worry, Nim and iRacing staff, that one was actually not a result of that old, wheel picks up on the. Oh my goodness! Hugh Haycox, that's the leader.
That is the race leader, Hugh Haycox. Just as we were saying about 5 minutes ago that he has a way to get through the traffic, he's just blown his race lead wide open, smashing into traffic.
Oren Laskin was on the racing line, full on the brakes there. What happened?
I do not know, and this will take a lot of trouble because he spins again to Hugh Haycox, and into the race lead goes Laust Olsen. That is his reaction. Oh, I'm in the race lead. Business as usual. Almost.
I don't know what happened with Oren. I just went on board with him, and it doesn't look like he was having any issues. He was a little slow over the hill, but nothing that big.
It could be one of these technical issues that you find, for example, a screen freeze. There is a lot of issues that it could be to cause that happening. I would hate to hesitate for Oren Laskin in terms of what happened through all of that, but an incredible moment in this race as Laust Olsen at the halfway stage takes control of the lead, but he doesn't have a big margin. He's only got 2.5 seconds. Global SimRacing channel replay. This is just after the incident. So this is what Hugh Haycox has, and this is what he sees. Going through the Frenchman making that charge up the hill. Down he will go and now look to try and challenge. The car's just completely planted with the brakes. I think that car's looking to stop and pull over.
I think so too, but I don't think he expected it. He probably was just glancing cursorily at Oren and just didn't realize that he was on the brakes. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all, but oh man, that's heartbreak for Hugh. We saw something similar to that when we were at VIR last time, but my goodness, what a heartbreak for him. Now we're looking at Heitor Sentes Galindo, who has closed the gap by about 0.2 to Laust Olsen. He knows now that there's a win on the cards if he can get up and catch Laust.
Absolutely. The Brits studying in France in trouble and out, but now we have got race battles on for both categories. A guaranteed victory has gone away, but now it's about this second half of the race. And what can Heitor Sentes Galindo do to chase down Laust Olsen at the front of this field? This is by no means an easy feat to bring back into perspective. Anything is possible, and look at this battle going on right now. You can see here Pablo Costa, Brian Axman, and then John Keefe. They're all fighting it out right now here for 6th, 7th, and 8th places.
Absolutely. Laust Olsen in the lead of this race, looking for his second ever Kamel GT win, and he's going to have a charging Heitor Sentes Galindo trying to recover from an early incident as well, and now the gap is closed. It's now 0.3. Laust getting held up by Doug Cloud right now. This could be the move of the race for the lead.
Well, Doug Cloud finding himself with a bit of a Final Fantasy moment as he now puts the lead battle back together again. Heitor Sentes Galindo both struggling there through turn 7 as we take a little look then at Laust Olsen. Oh, you can see it there. Oh, I've just got through that, and now it's my turn to focus, reapply, re-engage as there's an issue out there for John Olsen in the number 5 with, I believe, Gianluca Gabbiadini as they fight too wide.
Yeah, Gianluca Gabbiani and Laust Olsen they got together just a little bit there, but Laust Olsen, look how much pressure he's under, and that's a spinning, I'm trying to figure out who that was that just spun off in front of them. I think that was Robert Plumley, but here we go, battle for the lead. Galindo backing off a little bit, trying to force Laust into a mistake.
Absolutely, and this is where the pressure cooker tells, just 1/10 of a second at the line as they run through the S's now, through 3, and in through this section, down they go, through 4, and back up again they go, through the big left, and attack up the hill, out of 5, towards 6 and 7, and Heitor Sentes Galindo has just been sitting patiently. He backs off, he breaks about a good 30 meters behind Laust Olsen, knowing that he's going to gain it all back with those two, Olsen and Fabio Saal, out there on track. So it's a big game of chase out there at this point in time, but it's all about timing. You've got to find not only the right move out here today, Adam, but you've got to find it at the right moment. Here comes the move, not quite.
I thought he was going to go for it, but Laust also tried to cover him off, went a little deep through 10. That shouldn't hold him up too much. The question is, can he get around Gianluca in time? He can. Can Sentes Galindo? Yes, he can. So both of them through cleanly.
Both of them around Gabbiani out there on track, and they managed that without too many dramas at all as they run up through turn number 1 once again and give each other a very good opportunity at making this race all about them. Jukka Leskala, by the way, has moved himself back up to 3rd position in class. He's past Trengarade, he's past Marius Brewer, and he's on his own. The one issue he's got is he's trying to chase down Millward and Lake. He's 0.3 of a second quicker a lap, but he's a bit too far back at this moment.
0.3 quicker a lap, but I've actually seen the gap close from 8 seconds down to 7.5 just over the course of the last lap, so I think he's got the pace. The question is, does he have the...
there goes Olsen! From the race lead, Laust Olsen spins it. Nobody wants to win this one today here at Road Atlanta.
Apparently not. Laust, unfortunately, with major front end damage. That's definitely going to be a pit stop, at least for him. This is major, major implications. What an opening round we're having. It's not the traffic that's causing the problems.
It absolutely isn't, and you'll just have a look here. It's just power application. A little bit too early on it. Oh, back steps around with wheel spin. And that is what is a forced error from Heitor Sentes Galindo. And that is sometimes why you just choose to stick behind a driver instead of make a move.
Pablo Costa and John Keefe fighting for 7th position. Pablo Costa able to snake through there and get the position away from Keefe, who's continuing to fall back towards the later stages of this race. Lars Olsen does come to the pits, so unfortunately for him, that's going to be some major time repairing that machine, so that's going to definitely take him out of the fight for the win today.
It certainly is. 7 seconds, the margin at the front, and a great battle as well going on, while Costa and Keefe fight for 2nd position as well out on track, as Fabian Jungbluth, for example, and Martin Kreischerich stay within a pretty close margin of each other. Here comes a little think about it into turn 6, trying to get the pass done. Not quite, but it's a very tough corner with even the banking helping you through the corner to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. John Keefe just not a good exit off of 7, but that being said, he's got some draft, but Costa should have some draft from Olsen up ahead, who's fighting with Fabio Saul and Gianluca Gabbiani. Those are all for position for the GTO, so those guys aren't going to want to give up a lot of time. Costa thinks better of diving down the inside of Olsen, but gets massively held up on the apex of 10A. This is going to be an opportunity to John Keefe down the front straightaway if he thinks he could be aggressive about it.
Well, he's got to get himself in line, and he's got to get that pass sorted quickly. They'll get a huge run on the likes of Sal, and the likes of those in front are just going to be a blocker at this point, and that is Gabbiani through the corner, Roly Wallbank just in front. And, well, that is just how you want to do it if you're Pablo Costa, as off goes Wallbank there, trying to keep himself away. Cones go flying out here at Road Atlanta, but John Keefe able to hold on. But sometimes you just have to be aggressive with traffic. That's just the name of the game.
Yeah, a lot of pressure right there. And now we're looking at Brian Axman, who's tucked in behind Pablo Suarez. This position has changed hands a couple of times over the last lap, but man, lots of GTP drivers really struggling with rear tire temperature. They're having a hard time getting off of the corner without spinning the tires. Here goes Pablo Suarez, making it 3 wide around Grant Bristow, and looks like Brian Axman's going to try to do the same thing.
Axman then makes his way through. Can he get it slowed? Yes, he can. So everyone managing to get themselves through. That was the battle between Jamie Hamill-Smith and Ian Haycox as well that they were trying to get through. So always going to be a little tricky scenario. And what a run here is going to come along for Brian Axman. It's not going to get close enough here through turn 1. It's a transfer-style corner as they jam on the power, go up to nearly 240 kilometers an hour on the run on the brakes in towards turn 3. But one of the keys that they're going to be dealing with today here, Adam, is that brake fade.
Absolutely. Brake fade does start to affect these drivers a little bit late on if you're going to slam on the brakes that hard. We saw it happen over the first couple of rounds of 2021 Season 4. Seems to have backed off a little bit as these drivers tend not to run the higher friction brake pads that often, but Pablo Suarez and Brian Axman very close together still. I don't think Brian's going to have an opportunity to straight.
Go down for the leader in GTO, and suddenly Alex Millward has found his way through on Philip Lake.
What happened to Phil?
Slow down. 10A, 10B. And we'll get a look at this then on the Global Sim Racing channel replay. This is how easily you can lose time by making one small mistake. The iRacing official system really does get heavy on corner cutting. You can see it from the 6, it's nice and easy, but it looks like too aggressive into 10A, and that's the slowdown being served.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So a slowdown being served, you can see him break even to let Millward go by. So having served that slowdown, he's now right back on the back of Alex Millward. These guys have to be careful, though. That all played into the hands of Yuko Leskola, who's only 5.5 seconds back now with 11 minutes to go.
Which means they can't afford to dilly-dally with the way that they attack this race. They start going too wide, they're going to lose a lot of time. That's Fabian Jungbluth just behind him. You'll see right-hand side, he's going to go breezing by these two. There he goes in the Minolta style livery. Here comes the move then to the outside, trying to get this done on Alex Millward. Millward then on that inside line, drops back into line because Philip Lake just had so much help moving through with the draft and back into the lead. You can see the V of the brilliant virtual reality shining brightly as he takes himself then back into control.
Yeah, you also got to realize that I think Alex Millward's thinking to himself, I can't battle with Phil right now. If I battle with Phil, Yuko gets up here, and he's going to run away from both of us. By hanging out behind Phil Lake, he gives both of them an opportunity to take the win away from Yuko Leskola. And if you're going to try and win a championship this season, whoa, as they both missed the braking for 2. If you're going to try and win a championship this season, you're going to need to win it over Yuko Leskala. Everyone else is secondary compared to taking that win away from Yuko.
Absolutely. If Yuka Leskala can put 10 victories in the season, effectively get a perfect score in the championship last time out, then he's got to absolutely go for it. So there is the difference maker out there at this point. As I believe, Adam, you've had a little look at something.
Jake, Yuko is not showing up for me.
Oh no, you are kidding me. That is the worst time.
Gaining a second of lap. We just looked at the lap comparisons. He's not come back.
Goodbye. That's like an engine blowout. So technical issues befalling Yuko Leskala. And he starts with a big 0 on his score because he will be out of the race. So Leskala out then, which will promote Marius Brewer up into 3rd position. These top 2, they don't have to worry about Leskala anymore. They've got this battle between themselves.
So there's Brewer in 3rd, and we've got a nice battle for 4th position between Ove Trangarade and Reed Miller. Reed trying to get himself up into 4th as they all dive down for the braking zone. That's Nick Bakanos who's trying to recover his way, currently in 5th spot. So look at this tight battle. Ove Trangarade with a nice exit off of 10B. He's going to have a good run down the front straightaway.
He certainly is. He's got a chance then. Reed Miller, who's made the move and is now up into 4th. We'll be looking behind. They've got Mukanos there as well in the background if something's to happen. And a bit of traffic trying to come through is Jorge Zuniga out there on track. And he will try and dive to the inside. Trangrade, you can see, giving all of the room. Battle completely disrupted. And Zuniga's in the fence.
Yeah, Zuniga just a little bit too much power coming over the bumps of 2. Oh, Ove Trangarade a little bit offline. This gives an opportunity to Nick Bakanos. You can't make a move through 5. But Ove Trangarade able to recover well. But all of this, with Yuko Leskala falling out, has given an opportunity for Alex Millward. He can now fight Phil Lake. They're 11 seconds ahead of Marius Brewer and with decent lap times. So this battle for the lead can now progress on as well because Millward doesn't have to worry about Lake about Yuko Leskala from behind. Nick Bakanos definitely needs to get by Ove Trangarade on this straightaway if he wants to keep up with Reed Miller. He's got a decent run. The question is, does he have the brakes to do it?
Does he have the brakes? Does he have the opportunity to attack and shine for it? Mukanos in line position, but not able to pull alongside to make the move happen. So another lap of waiting, and that tactical game of chess inside the last 7.5 minutes brings itself through. Great run down the hill as they go through, but you got Pablo Suarez here under so much pressure going through the opening corners here, or sorry, the mid part of the track here. You got Suarez there. Axman has been relentless. He has been pretty much there like the woodcutter, just chopping down his opponent, trying to find a way through. And I think at this point, Brian Axman here is trying every which way to find it, but Suarez is just better on the power, and he gets himself away and he keeps himself safe for another lap. Absolutely.
We've seen this multiple times in the Kamel GT series. You could be weak everywhere else, but if you're strong on power application on the only places going into the only corners that the people can pass, there's not much anyone can do to fight you besides making a surprise move somewhere else. We've seen that from real life racers all over the place. Yeah, a couple of names come to mind. Max Verstappen tends to make those moves, but take a look at this. Nick Bakanos with a nice run on Ove Trangarade.
He has a good run. I want to keep an eye on the overall race lead in a couple of moments' time. But look at this. Here comes the chance then on the very, very important long straight. Trying to find that run to 10A, 10B. Mukanos then on the inside of Trangarade, trying to pick this move up. They're going to get close, but Trangarade's got it covered, and the move is sorted. The lead gap was 7 seconds 2 laps ago. It is now 1.5 seconds because Aitor Sintes Galindo cannot navigate the traffic.
No, he can't, and Ugluth is getting much better at that. So as we continue to watch this battle between Nick Bakanos and Ove Trangarade, keep in mind that the gap between Aitor Sintes Galindo and Fabian will be down to 2 seconds.
The difference, a 12.4 from Sintes Galindo that last lap, a 9.7 from Youngbluth. That is huge, and just 1 car between them. This battle continuing up the hill then as they move through the very tough turn 5, and it's going to be the likes of Ruda trying to get through, and Mascara and Fonseca. They're all going to try and get themselves through around the outside, and this is where you need coordination between the classes here. On the brakes, this middle section is so easy. Oh, careful over. You nearly took Mascara out of that
shift.
one, and because he missed the shift as well, being a little bit spooked, thank you very much. There goes the move, and there goes the position.
Absolutely. So Nick Pakanos now weaving. Look at him weave to try and break the draft there. Trying to make sure that Ove can't come back at him. I think Ove might take that as a challenge, though.
I think he will, and that is the race leader just behind them. So that'll be a really scary prospect that they're racing around the leader. Aitor Sintes Galindo has to try and navigate to the inside. Just about manages it at the cost of about half a
that
second.
made Nick lift.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Ove and Nick both
Oh.
off the track.
My word, are they pushing?
And there goes Fabian Jungluth. He's made up another half second with that battle, but he's going to be stuck behind Reed Miller. No, he's not! He absolutely sends it up the inside, so do the other cars. This is absolutely crazy.
Mike Ruderoff just in front of them as well, so that would have been scary as they went through. Gap 1.3 seconds at the front, 4 minutes to go. The gap for the overall lead in GTO is out to 1.7, and Philip Lake is starting to pull away. That's why we're not looking at that one, but what incredible fights we've got. Mukanos versus Trengare continuing out for 5th and 6th, but it's still all in hand, and off goes Nim. That's Nim Cross in trouble.
Yeah, with major front end damage. That's going to be the end of Nim's race, I think. He just spun it up too much off of 8, so just another driver, another GTP driver just falling afoul of those rear tires.
And those rear tyres are really going to be tough as they battle, and we continue watching this great scrap for the final spot in the top 5 of GTO. At this point, they go down the hill into the right and left. That is Nim Cross, who's going to have no pace as they battle through. He's going to have to try and find the pits at some point here, so he gets well out of the way. No, he's going to have to continue on here. So another lap around with that damage. It's going to be really, really awkward.
We should go to the lead of the race.
Yeah, absolutely, we should. We need to right now, because it's now same car traffic right now for Aitor Sintes Galindo, and the gap becomes nothing.
Absolutely. That was Aitor caught in behind Javier Mascara. He's going to be caught behind all these guys. Look at him weave as he tries to cut through. This is going to hold up Jungluth as well, as he's going to get stuck behind Mascara. The GTP's all in line now. It's going to be 12th, 1st, 13th, and 2nd, all nose to tail.
Absolutely, and they've only got a handful of laps to go to try and get it all sorted. By my count, it's about 2 or 3, depending on when they cross the line. More likely it is going to be 2, but as they go side by side, not willing to give this one up then, on the outside is Carlos Fonseca, who makes sure that Galindo has to compromise his line into 10-8. Youngblue's going to need to attack off the exit, and he does so. He gets a much easier time of it, and now all of a sudden, they cross the line. Time on the clock was 2:23 as they crossed, which means if they're running at this pace, they'll cross the line with about 3 seconds to go here, Adam, and it's 3 laps left.
And this is our leader trying to go around Alex Millward, second in the GTOs, manages to do so. Fabian Lewis should be able to get past cleanly, but now it's gonna get Galindo stuck behind these Audis. Same situation as last time, but Jungluth is much closer this time. So now 0.3 of a second between them as they go past our leader of the GTOs, Phil Lake. Both of them should be able to make it through 7.
Absolutely, and they do. And now for the first time, Youngbluth's got a clear avenue to attack. This is what he's been waiting for the longest time. It never looked possible when he started 9th on the grid today that he had a chance of picking up a victory. Only 4 drivers who started in the top 10 are in the top 10. Sorry, 5 drivers who started in the top 10 are in the top 10 now. These 2 have been working hard at it. Through they go 10A, 10B, and they'll have 2 laps to figure out who is able to either A, hold on under the Fox Factory Bridge, or B, going to win this race.
Pablo Costa, a self-spin from 5th position off of turn 5 means that he's around, but look at this, so close is Jungluth. As they navigate the traffic again, they're going to have another car up ahead that they have to figure out. Oh, it's so tough, he gets stuck in behind.
That's Robin Hapich there just in front. So Hapich, a crucial difference maker. It gives reprieve to Aitor Sintes Galindo. And he knows it is pretty plain sailing from this point onwards. It's Emerson Godin and Cam Porter getting by Gianluca Gabbiani. So there's not really much left that you can really argue and do. Youngbluth has got to find pure pace.
He does, and it's going to be hard. They're going to come up on the white flag this time around. He's got to close, and they're not going to have any traffic to deal with. Gabbiani is 8 seconds ahead. I think that's going to be possibly towards the end of the lap, so it's not really going to affect their battle. It's just Emerson Godin who they're going to have to deal with. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to take a mistake from Sintes Galindo for Jungluth to be able to catch back up, I think.
I certainly think it does. White flag in Brazelton, Georgia. Road Atlanta has produced an incredible race today. But how much of 0.8 of a second can Aitor Sintez Galindo hold on to on this final lap? He crests the rise in towards turn 3, and there's GTO traffic in the form of Gabbiani, and they're all going to have to try and work a way through, and suddenly it sticks, and they get closer together. Youngblood's nowhere to go. The door was shut on him. Gabbiani goes straight across the circuit, and all of a sudden, that could have been no race. Youngblood completely spooked by it, and now it's just about keep it on the island. Aitor Sintez Galindo. What an incredible battle we have seen. Lap traffic deciding this battle out. It looked for the smallest, faintest moment that Fabian Youngblood had a chance from 9th today to pick up a victory. There still may be a chance just yet. There's one bit of traffic to navigate. That's Fabio Sal moving over to the inside. Then goes Aitor Sintez Galindo, who takes 10A and takes 10B and takes probably one of the most hectic wins of his iRacing career. Victory at Road Atlanta in the Kamel GT, ASG, Aitor Sintez Galindo.
Phil Lake has opened the gap to 2.5 seconds to Alex Millward, and thus it's going to be pretty easy for him to come home with this win. All he has to do is do the same that Sintez Galindo did, 10A and 10B. Don't get the cut course penalty this time, Phil, and he doesn't. He's able to power it up over the hill underneath the Fox Factory Bridge, and now through the final corner, he comes out and wins his first race of the season here at Road Atlanta.
As it should be. Business as usual, the way he looks at it. And we've still got great racing all the way to the end. This is Reed Miller and a 3-car scrap as Trengere tried to search for the inside. He might get a run off the exit here against Mukanos if he's lucky. And if he can get himself to the inside, he might just run out of track. And he has run out of track. Great 3-car scrap to the finish.
What a great race we saw today, Jake. Amazing battling all over the place. In fact, Ian Haycox and Jamie Hamill-Smith still nose to tail, as Ian Haycox is going to get a top 10 off of this one. Man, what a race.
What a race indeed, and what a place as Ian Haycox comes to the line, gets the result that he was certainly hoping for, and most of everyone comes across the line. It's at this point, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going to take ourselves away here from the Kamel GT series, not from the end of today's action, because we've got post-race coverage coming up in a couple of moments. Stay with us at the Global Sim Racing channel. 50 cars, 2 classes, 40 minutes worth of racing action, 2 great battles for the victory, multitudes of mayhem, and this is what Road Atlanta seems to bring up time and time again. Let's take a look at those race results. Aitor Sintes Galindo, 41 minutes and 5 seconds. It's probably the greatest win of his iRacing effort so far. He wins by 2.5 seconds over Fabian Youngbluth, who threw absolutely everything and the kitchen sink on top of that, with Martin Krejcik fishing out on the podium. Pablo Suarez will take 4th position, able to ride off the challenge from Brian Axman, who finished in 5th after starting 12th. John Keith finishing in 6th, 20 seconds clear of Diego Mistretta there in 7th. Pablo Costa would finish in 8th with a spin. Jorge Zuniga finishing in 9th, and an 11th place gain for Cam Porter, rounding out the top 10. We'll continue down then through the GTPs with Emerson Godin 1 lap down, along with Carlos Fonseca and the likes of Javier Mosquera. Laust Olsen had the race lead, was under pressure, 1 small spin cost him an opportunity. Mike Ruder finishing in 15th, with Grant Bristow, Nimcross Jr. missing the front clip as he came to the finish, and 3 laps down, Nathan Cameron and Doug Cloud. And along with that, in terms of category, you've got the likes of Vaughan, Haycox from the race lead, Sousa, Clapper, Alexei Tapia-Vico, we saw earlier on, Andrew Medell, Max Bacon, and Michael Clapper not making it to the end. And of course, Adam, GTOs were just as fascinating.
Absolutely. Phil Lake, after having a little bit of contact with Yuka Leskala through turn 2 early on in the race, comes home with the win, but not unchallenged by Alex Millward, making the permanent, well, hopefully permanent, switch over to the GTOs. A good battle between him and Phil towards the end of the race. The biggest driver of note, though, keep this name in your mind, Marius Brewer, up 8 positions from 11th position to 3rd, and only 12 seconds back in the lead. If he could get his qualifying right, maybe he'd be up there battling with Millward and Lake as well. Reed Miller, a great job holding off Nick Bacanos and Ove Trangarade to come home 4th, 5th, and 6th for those drivers, with Ben Laughter just off the back of them, 6 seconds back in 7th. Javier Del Olmo was able to get up to 8th position, with Ian Haycox taking home a top 10 today in 9th. Jamie Hamill-Smith, the last of your top 10. Franco Scurry comes home in 11th position today. Not exactly what he wanted to see, nor Hideki Coivisto in 12th, but Fabio Sol also up 8 positions for the 13th spot, with Gianluca Gabbiani coming home in 14th and Robin Happich in 15th. Robert Plumley, 16th spot, with Andreas Schuster in 17th. Rolly Wellbank not having the greatest drive today, coming home in the 18th position. And then our drivers who had major issues. Yuka Leskala dropping out of the server after challenging himself back up to 3rd position. John Olsen out, as well as Pablo Rangel, Oren Laskin, Gowan Wynn, Jacob Greer, and Andre Schumacher, who did not start the race.
Everyone then finding themselves opportunities that they want and opportunities that they needed. But we're going to take our chance then to move to post-race interviews and to Aitor Sintes Galindo with a huge victory here today. Now, Aitor, how amazing of a race is that for you? It had everything. You just kept yourself in position. First position went off twice, once in front of you, and then all of a sudden you're left with a lead. What goes through your head at that point?
I just turned off the relative that moment, because it's like, might win this race, and I need to keep it out of the head, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to keep it straight. But yeah, what a race! I'm so happy right now. It's like I survived. I think I'm the only one without incidents in the whole race, apart from Andre Schumacher. So yeah, I'm. Well, it's I don't know. I drove like a man possessed. I tried to manage the traffic as best as I could, and it pulled off in the end. And the end, I had those moments with Hugh and Laos. It was like, oh boy, oh boy. I was like, am I gonna do it? Am I gonna do it? It's the question I always do when and then I see Fabian in the mirrors. It's like, okay, keep it cool, and well, we're here today. So yeah, congrats to Phil, the GTOs, and the podium finishers. Today, we're all survivors.
We certainly are. I will say that the only other 2 drivers with 0 incidents didn't take the start, so you are the only clean driver in the field as well. So a massive congratulations for that. But At what point do you start thinking about looking behind and having to be defensive, especially with how tough the traffic was today? Because you lost something like 6 seconds in 2 laps trying to deal with the traffic.
Yes, I try to keep it patient with the Audis, and that's why I lose so much time. But I usually try to keep it like 4 or 5 seconds. That's the minimum gap I want to take for granted, because for safe distance, and try to keep it with the Audis. But yeah, today the traffic was, well, 52 cars in Road Atlanta. This is like a classic Petit Le Mans, but in 40 minutes. So yeah, I was trying to keep maintain the gap, and when I was seeing already Fabian in the mirror, it's just like, okay, be aggressive with the passing, because otherwise he'll pass me instead. Because actually, yes, they will have a similar race, and I lost it because I lost the podium finish because of that, because of the traffic. So I didn't want to happen again. So it was like, keep pushing and try to minimize the time loss, and that's how I did.
Let's move then a week into the future. You're the championship leader. It is Homestead up next, a track which I'm pretty sure if you've been in the service for a long time, you'll remember, but hasn't really been run that recently. How do you either A, refresh your mind, or B, tackle a circuit you haven't really tackled before?
Usually I look at the map, because it's certainly Homestead is a very interesting track, in the sense that I have never raced it before, just in novels because of NASCAR. But apart from that, I've never seen the infield. We did Ferran did a couple of laps. In my teammate did a couple of laps in Homestead. We took a good look at the track, and it's like, okay, we took some notes and such, and that's how we'll deal. Probably next week we'll try to do some practice races and see how it goes, and build a decent setup for this week.
Well, the floor is yours here. Aitor, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
No sponsors, but thanks for everybody. GSRC, of course, for the great broadcast. My family, friends, and watching. They've been astonishing every week watching me. They must be proud of me today. And yeah, the Kamel community and all of you guys, love you all. I say today is a very happy man. So yeah, thanks for everything. See you next week at Homestead.
Absolutely. Aitor Sintes Galindo, happy to a T as he picks up a huge victory. Adam, you've effectively wandered down the virtual paddock and found yourself with Philip Lake.
Not hard to do considering he's in victory lane. Phil, what a drive today. I mean, I know there's a little bit of contact between you and Yuko at turn 2, but Alex Milward kept you honest today. How was that out there?
Yeah, been practicing with Alex through the week, and he's been really quick. I kind of knew he was going to drop off just slightly at the end of the race, because he told me that was probably going to happen. So that kind of helped me just keep my head down and clock off the laps. But obviously didn't want to have the contact with Yuko at the start there. I was looking forward to a good fight. But yeah, it's hard enough to get through turn 2 and 3 on your own, and then side by side was I did what I could. I did lock up slightly, so I'll have to go back and look at it and see who's kind of more to blame for that one.
Yeah. I mean, still though, a great drive for you for sure. And turns out that Yuko actually had connection issues towards the end of that race as well. So unfortunately, just not a great day for him. But talk to me about the traffic. 52 cars out there today. And everyone got a clean start, but my goodness, the first time the GTPs came through, I was worried about everybody. How was that for you?
Yeah, the first time they came through, they were in big groups, which usually everybody's kind of spaced out a little bit, and it's like one at a time. But there was a couple of times today where you had sort of a train of 8 cars all coming through, and we lost a lot of time. Me and Alex were losing to Yuko, and I don't know the guy who came third's name, but he was catching us towards the end. I think just because you kind of have more to lose when you're leading, and I guess you don't as much when you're in third. You're just pushing and kind of taking a little bit more risk. So yeah, we were losing out, but we managed to hang on anyway.
So at the end of last season, you were talking about possibly doing a full season in the Audi. Is that your plan? And what are your thoughts heading into Homestead?
Yeah, definitely. I put in a lot of practice this week. Gonna try and keep that up for the whole season. I don't think I've ever done an official race at Homestead. I've probably done like a week 13 race or something a long time ago, so it's going to be learning from scratch for me. It's going to be an interesting challenge, actually, I think. So looking forward to it.
I think this is a common theme we're hearing from drivers about Homestead. But is there anyone you want to thank for your win today?
Just all my teammates, my parents for watching, and you guys for doing the broadcasts.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Phil, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Cheers, Adam.
All right, that was Phil Lake, who came home in the lead of the race, coming home with the win, and it looks like Jake has caught up with John Keefe.
I certainly have. Now, John, a sort of race for you started off in 10th position, was always going to be a long race, a tough race, especially with how intensive it is around this place today, but a solid gain of 4 with a lot of drivers falling into the pitfalls of endurance racing in a sprint format. How did you feel that was as a challenge for you today?
Actually, it wasn't as crazy as I was thinking it was going to be with 50 cars going into this. I picked up a slowdown on lap 1, so I fell back to, I think, 12th or 13th. And then I was just kind of in no man's land almost the entire race. I think I had 1 or 2 guys that were within like a second or 2 of me for a while there. And traffic-wise, it wasn't that bad. I never really caught a big pack of Audis. I think they were really broken up by the time I really encountered them. So pretty straightforward race for me today. It didn't seem that crazy from my vantage point.
Well, sometimes the lonely races are the easiest, but in terms of trying to construct a season and build up a portfolio of results, you have to say that a 6th place finish to start the season is firstly really good and sets you really nicely up in terms of the long form of the season to not only target a top 10, but potentially a top 5 come the end.
Yeah, I would definitely like to be in the top 5 in points. I try when I run a full season, which has been spotty the past few, I try to keep in that top 5, but it's a difficult group of guys here. So it's always a challenge.
It always is a challenge. We have seen it over the course of seasons past, present, and hopefully into the future as well with you. So in terms of where you make that next challenge and how you make that happen 1 week's time, Homestead Roval, how's that feeling as a prospect getting into what is a very niche style of circuit?
Yeah, luckily I've actually practiced that circuit a handful of times. It was a track we were going to try a number of years ago, and we just never did. So I think it's going to be pretty enjoyable. It's definitely a challenge, especially going into turn 1 there. That'll be a pretty exciting spot to watch next week.
Well, floor is yours, John. Shout out sponsors. Who gets it done?
All the Camel guys, just the whole community, everyone, that shows up every week. It's always fun. Good or bad, it's always a good time. And you guys for your excellent coverage of the series.
No worries at all there. John Keefe joining us then with a 6th place finish overall. And Adam, I believe you found a driver who managed to get a gain of 11 today in the form of Cam Porter.
Absolutely, Cam. You cut your way through the field today from 21st up to 10th position. I mean, after starting that far back, a top 10's got to feel good today, huh?
Anytime I get a top 10 in this crowd, I'm enthusiastic. This is a tough crowd. I mean, there's some really talented drivers that show up here every week, but they're a great community, and that's why I keep coming back.
Absolutely, and such a chaotic race today on a track that usually serves up a lot of comings together, and today it looked fairly clean for everybody out there, even with 51 cars. Talk to me about your experience in the traffic today.
I think everyone was just knew it was going to be zany with 50 cars on this short track, so I think everyone put just a little bit more effort into trying to stay clean, even though there were some incidents, obviously. Coming into this race, I didn't have a lot of practice. So I just tried to concentrate on racing my own race and staying clean. I think I did that for the most part. I did have a minor car contact with someone that was rejoining the track, but didn't do any damage to the car. Nimcross was pressuring me at one point, but unfortunately he fell back. I didn't see what happened with him. But yeah, that was a really thrilling race, and I'm very happy to get this result.
Yeah, unfortunately, a self spin for Nick out of 8 rather put him back. But Cam, a fantastic drive today. Is there anyone you want to thank for your top 10?
I want to thank my wife for being very supportive of my wacky hobbies. So huge thanks to Lori. Love you, sweetheart.
That's a very sweet thank you. And Cam, thanks for talking to us, and we look forward to talking to you in the future sometime.
Thanks again, guys. We'll see you soon.
That was Cam Porter, who finished 10th in the GTPs. Back to you, Jake.
Absolutely. Always thank the wife. You know what they say? Happy wife, happy life. So that will get you in the good graces. But that will bring the curtains down on Kamel GT for today. So a massive thank you has to go out to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast, and they are going to be listed up on screen for you. And that also goes along to June Lalonde, whose wonderful music is provided here to us. Please check out her Bandcamp for more awesome work. From, of course, myself, Jake Smeria, and the team today, Adam, Joe, Dougie, it's been a massive thank you for joining us along for the ride. You can find out more information about the Global Sim Racing channel at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And also, if you have a chance, please check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. We keep a link in the description below, so don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Our next race in terms of the championship is round 2, and that will be Homestead, a much different challenge, road and oval at the same time, combined to a wonderful roval. That's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern, 1 week from today on the 26th, as well as so many other amazing races which are going to be coming up on screen. So mark them down on your calendar if you haven't already. In terms of what we've got coming up as our very next broadcast, the CTC Lotus 79s come to play tomorrow at Road America. Join us 12:30 Eastern for that one. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.